Oh, well, hello, my wonderful, beautiful Breskis of the wonderful, beautiful Maverick Nation. Breskis and the Breskis of the wonderful, beautiful Maverick Nation. I am the Dark Shadow Maverick, and it's time. What if Naruto was a Transformer? Now, I know this one sounds ridiculous, but hang in with me. Hang in there with me because not only will he be a Transformer, but just like Soundwave, he'll get to have his little minions. They even already have names. And I decided to give him 9 minions. Because 9 tails. So, how exactly is this going to happen, you might ask? Unlike the world of Transformers and the world of Naruto, very different. Well, I will indeed say that the very essence of Autobots and Decepticons, basically the beings of Cybertron and Cybertron itself, as they all know it, has basically been departed. All of it like dust in the wind. And it will pick up sometime in the future of another dimension. How do I know this? Well, I'm the one telling the damn story. Basically, all this leftover energy, well, where exactly it's going to be headed, there will be a little bit of a ruckus, as Naruto is now being chased down by the random village mob. And, well, he's getting the crap beat out of him. This usually happens. It's gonna take a while for, events to transpire. And so this will have happened for quite some time. And Naruto will grow certain feelings. Certain, not exactly feelings that he likes having in him. Because usually he's the bright and bubbly Naruto Uzumaki. But, well, just more and more he's getting beat down. And that is until it is the day of the exam finally. However, this one, it's the freaking clone jutsu, and Naruto sucks at the clone jutsu. And so he fails. However, Mizuki doesn't get to do that thing that he wanted to do. Because straight out of nowhere, before he can even get to Naruto, something falls out of the freaking sky and lands right in front of him. It does indeed seem like Well, I'll just let you hear for yourself. this will not do. However, with me being the sole one, Megatron not around to boss me around, I will be the one in control. All hail Starscream! Yes, not shitting you. However, that wasn't the only thing that trailed past the sky that, day, night. You see, Starscream might actually have an opponent. As soon comes walking in Starscream. Starscream would turn his head and see Bumblebee. Excuse me. So basically, Bumblebee and Starscream would go at it. Mizuki not having any idea what the hell is going on. However, indeed, he'd get smushed in the midst of the chaos. So Naruto would only really go there out of interest of his own. Seeing two giant, whatever those are, battling it out in, the middle of the forest. He wants to check this out. However, this is a little bit of a something that really does indeed irk Naruto. Whenever he gets to the point, sees that one of the robots has already won the fight. Ha ha ha! You see, Bumblebee? This is why the Decepticons undefeatable. As Bumblebee would pretty much die straight there. My favorite freaking Autobot dies to my favorite freaking Decepticon. So, yeah. That's a thing. As Bumblebee would pretty much just die right there. Starscream would have to admit that he does seem pretty worn and torn too. Like a lot of wear and tear. Falling apart. Straight on top of Bumblebee. Like mixing their two matrices / Allsparks. Kind of fusing their essences together. Whenever Naruto goes to take a closer look at whatever the hell this is, like a fusion of Bumblebee and Starscream's essences, and over the years, all of the crazy shit that's happened with Cybertron and the Decepticons and the Autobots, they've got a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge. So, take that at, however you want to take it. These are not the traditional, cartoon, original cartoon Bumblebee and Starscream. These guys are actually a lot older, a lot more experienced, a lot, more smart versions of the characters. The only reason Starscream, fell and died is because, he kind of fought to the last breath with Bumblebee. So, basically, Braveheart. Braveheart! So, yeah. Naruto would have all these conflicting feelings, so he would just take some sort of small jar that he had and put the little fused thingy, whatever, in the jar. And he would carry it around with him next day. There would be several people being like, could you imagine if that guy actually became a ninja? That thing, the demon fox. Basically, a bunch of people being assholes to Naruto. And he wouldn't have even known why. Because Mizuki would have already been dead. Basically, well, Iruka, after hearing the third Hokage's words over and over in his head, he would want to treat Naruto nicer, seeing as he's only doing what he's doing, out of a need and want, for attention. It's kind of like leaving a baby in a white padded cell. You can't just leave a baby in a white padded cell. It's not going to work. So, yeah. Basically, a lot would be going on. And, well, I guess as a final last nail in Naruto's mental coffin, Sasuke would want to do a little bit of a rematch. See if how shitty Naruto's days already been has toughened him up anymore. Not exactly like it's going to help. Because he lost the first several times. Makes him think he's gonna win. However, Sasuke actually wants this fight. He wants to prove to Mr. Number 1 Knucklehead Ninja that he is the superior. He is the better. And all the girls are just fawning over him. Except for one girl in particular. Hinata. Hinata's being Hinata. I guess another girl would indeed be thinking of something. How she didn't notice this sooner. How much of a dick Sasuke can be at times. And Ino would just be like, Sakura, what do you see? Never mind. She's never gonna stop wanting him. Basically, like Sasuke, Naruto would have a little box, connected to his little pouch. And so Sasuke would be wondering, What's in the box? Like, I think it's 7 where the thing comes from. What's in the box? So, yeah. Sasuke would want to know, and so he's like, if he wins, Naruto has to let him know what's in the box. And let him see it. Whatever it is. And Naruto's just like, fine, whatever. And so they fight, and the huge happens. However, at this time, there's enough energy inside that damn box to, like, set off a nuclear hydrogen bomb thing. Turn all of Konoha into just a big dust bowl. And so it just smacks Naruto clean in the frickin' face. And, well, whenever Naruto wakes up, he realizes he's in the hospital, and that, there's, like, a lot wrong with him. First of all, he finds it difficult to speak. Second of all, it's almost like his vision is shifted or, has been messed with somehow. Everything just seems weird, and whenever he tries to move, it's this weirdest of noises that's made every time he tries to move. And then, he goes to grab some sort of mirror to see how bad the damage really was. And that's whenever he realizes he's not himself. Whatever that thing was, now all this knowledge is being transferred into him of the Transformers' history. The Autobots, the Decepticons, Cybertron, and Naruto. Naruto, just knowing all of this now, would just be thinking, oh my god, what do I do to get myself out of this one? Naruto would get up, and, well, he would try to more properly assess the situation. He would even go to pinch himself. However, due to his robotic nature, it would take a lot more force than what he's used to putting on his body in order for him to actually feel himself being pinched. And Naruto now being able to realize that, just now, the thought has come to him, he is a freaking robot. And he doesn't seem to belong to either the Autobots or the Decepticons' sides. He seems to be his own robot. Well, a Cybertron, ness. His own transformer, in a way? I guess that's something you could call it. Yes, that's what Naruto would like to call it. It seems as if he can transform his body after all. It feels like so different. That's really what his body has done. It's completely transformed itself. Now he only has one eye, and he seems to have some sort of garb over him, like this dark greenish garb. And, well, he has, like, a lot of, like, weapons and shit. Like, materials and just overall a lot of stuff. Like, there's, like, guns, and there's, like, claws, and there's, like, plating over the limbs, and, like, leggings and arms have plating, even shoulder plates. And he just realizes he is one big metallic badass. He seems to be in a lot more of a human-sized form, though. Having this one big old green robe on, making himself look all important, even with only one, like, red robotic eye, he still feels empowered. He doesn't quite know what to call himself, so he looks deep within his knowledge to see if he can think of anything for reference. So, he's looking and looking and looking and looking and looking and looking and looking, and eventually he comes up with something on his own. Basically, all of his parts come together, reassembling into a complete form. And this is what he calls scrap drive. Yes, this new form of his. He gives it the name scrap drive. Technically everyone, or at least most everyone in the village, hates his guts, so scrap would be more than correct for how he feels. And drive, well, it's kind of like hard drive. Something that Naruto really doesn't understand because, you know, ninjas, they may or may not know a lot about hard drives. However, just seems to click together. Scrap drive. And he also seems to have the ability to basically, as he's thinking, some things are beginning to come together in his mind. Like, he's beginning to see what looks to be his mindscape. And in his mindscape, well, it is indeed revealed that there's the nine-tailed... basically, Nine Tails and Naruto have a conversation. However, Naruto basically wants anyone who isn't the Nine Tails to call him by his new name, Scrap Drive. However, he knows that he has to make that name for himself if he wants to be known by it. So he's gonna just keep on going around as Scrap Drive, seeing as he can't seem to de-transform out of this robotic state. Which indeed Kurama does indeed seem to say that, well, it seems to be a permanent. Well, the only thing that really seems to be able to change is that you can change size, and you can apparently turn into different machines. Like modes of transportation. Like ground, air, and maybe even water if you're lucky. And Naruto would think that this was interesting. His new life as Scrap Jive has just now begun. And now he was even beginning to learn from his first attempt at trying something new, though he didn't exactly know what he was trying. He just knew he was trying something new. With some parts that he had found lying around that nobody seemed to have wanted. Before they got burnt or thrown in a pile, to just rot away. He decided he was going to make use of them. He didn't know for what, but, well, he didn't exactly need to know for what. All he needed to know is what, he would be thinking about while messing around with the parts. And it turns out he has a special ability to, well, by not using all that many parts, he can make something in which you would think you would need a bunch of parts in order to make. And he would only need 2 or 3 parts, or 4 or 5 parts. And he can create something that would take 100 parts. Yeah, he can create something that would take 100 parts out of just 4 or 5 parts. Basically mess with the molecular structure of everything. He can mess around with a lot of that shit. And it seems to be due to this double engine that he's gained from that blast. This double engine of power that seems to be endless and allows him to do things that normally wouldn't be logically possible. And so the first thing that he ends up creating is something akin to the furball inside of him. Kurama thinking, really, kid? Really? Naruto just being like, I call him Death Tail. And Kurama would just be like, Death Tail? And Naruto would just be like, yeah, how kind of you have tails? So, Death Tail? And I've heard of, sages of, the sage of Mount Miyaboku. So, I've been thinking. Basically, he would name off 8 more robots after Death Tail. He would name off, count 'em, Sagist, Two-Side, Magic, Fangs, Claws, Cloakster, X-Factor, and Mr. Mr. Massacre. So yeah, count 'em 9. That's 9. That's Death Tail, Sagist, Two-Side, Magic, Fangs, Claws, Cloakster, X-Factor, and Mr. Massacre. So, yeah. Those are his 9, pretty much, minions. And, well, as for what their role is going to be, Izuku starts to think. Death Tail and Sagist. Sagist is kind of like a frog robot. And Death Tail is like a fox robot. Well, like, not like a frog robot, but like a toad robot. You had to get the design just right, just so that not mistake the two. And as for two side, that's just like the two sides of a coin, the two sides, like the two sides, Naruto, Kurama, like Naruto regularly, Naruto in this new body, as he's known as. Basically, two side has a sort of like a thing that Twice has from Boku no Hero Academia, like the split personality disorder. Like one side is always thinking one way, and the other side is always thinking the other way. And I always have to find a way to come up, like, to terms with their actual thought process before they can do anything. And so, basically, Naruto considers Two Side his third robot to be more or less a thought experiment gone. I wouldn't exactly say completely wrong, but more or less completely not exactly right. And his fourth minion, known as Magic, well, Magic is just... is really just unfair. Magic, basically... I forget which path of pain allowed you to steal the person's chakra, or soul, or whatever. But that's basically Magic. He steals your shit. And then he just makes an even more powerful version that, like, decimates everything in its wake. And numbers 5 and 6, Fangs and Claws. Well, Fangs, is known for very dangerous fangs that Fangs has. And Claws is known for very dangerous claws that Claws has. They're very close-range fighters at times. And as for the number 7 robot, Cloakster, well, is very good at camouflage. I will indeed tell you guys that. And can even teleport. And, not just themselves, but, other people, too. And then there's X Factor, which is basically the same way X is X Factor in, the Mega Man X games works. Basically, allows for, endless cloning of, abilities. So basically, if someone's going up against X Factor, say, Shikamaru uses the Shadow Possession, all X Factor has to do is, basically, as soon as he does that, X Factor will know how to do that exactly. Anything anyone does to X Factor can do to them back. Or do to someone else back. And they don't really run out of, supply. You can just, use, the, power generation of, another robot. Electric appliance, say, you rip out a car battery, and X Factor just munches down on that car battery. Automatic refill. Yeah. So, think about that. Can copy any freaking ability and basically, even if X Factor were to run out of like ammunition of the certain move or whatever, could either just switch to a different move or just bottoms up like any sort of type of battery or like engine that is meant to like power like any type of battery. And as for the number 9 robot, Mr. Massacre, well, he's kind of like the info broker guy. He's like the one who has all the inside information for like the squad. You know, the number 9 does indeed seem to be a favorite of Naruto. Like, out of everybody, Mr. Number 9, also known as Mr. Massacre, does indeed seem to be a favorite of their leader, also known as Scrap Drive. Mr. Massacre, other than just being an info broker, like an intelligence guy, he's very deadly in all forms of combat, like any form of combat. You try to go him with jujitsu, he'll go at you with like even better jujitsu prowess. If you try to go at him with karate, he'll go at you with even better karate prowess. You try to go at him with like kickboxing, he'll go at you with better kickboxing prowess. So like he is a master of like every single martial art. And like he's automatically better than every single person who's ever gone up against him in that martial art. So he's automatically a master at every martial art. So yeah, not only is he super intelligent, but he's super freaking like technique. And will another thing about Mr. Massacre, he has a lot of weapons. Like, dude is like Mecha Godzilla, like OG Mecha Godzilla, freaking armed to the teeth. And he can fit all this shit within his own body. Like, like, any gun that he uses, any freaking sword that he uses, they just all come out of his body. Like, literally slink out of his skin like some sort of Orochimaru bullshit. And it's not even skin. So, yeah, it's kind of like liquid metal, like the freaking T-1000. Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And so basically, with these 9, like little dudes like his own little mini army, his own little force, Death Tail, Sagist, Two Side, Magic, Fangs, Claws, Cloakster, X Factor, and Mr. Massacre, are all a part of Naruto's team, Naruto's little faction that he's made. And he's even gave himself his own little name that all of his little members of his little faction call him by. And that name is a name that strikes fear into anyone who's smart enough to know like who to fear, and that name is Scrap Drive. Basically, when exactly does Naruto make his big movement? Because, like, the last thing he knew, he got blasted all the way to hell and back because of Sasuke's, arrogant ass bullshit. And so, yeah. Not looking too happy. I guess deciding, like, what to do. Well, I guess taking out the problem from the inside out, while it's not in its home territory, would be a good, fun thing to do. I mean, come on. Why not? So, yes, indeed, Sai will be coming along because Team 7 will have Sai in it instead of Naruto, because Naruto has been in the shadows for a while. And he's gonna reappear as Scrap Drive, and yes, the dude in the thumbnail is going to be the design of Scrap Drive. Because, remember, I said one red eye. And, well, if you look in the thumbnail, it's one red eye. And I even tried to mention, like, a green cloak. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a green cloak that he's wearing. And so, yes, Naruto, who has given himself the new identity of the one Transformer, not Decepticon, not Autobot, just Scrap Drive. And anyone who chooses to follow him, he already has 9, as he considers, you know, 9 disciples. Deathtail, Sagist, Two-Side, Magic, Fangs, Claws, Cloakster, X-Factor, and Mr. Massacre. And as for, like, the whole Land of Waves arc, because, that's what I'm about to cover, like, in the next part, because I have no idea how long this actually is. As for the Land of Waves arc, that's gonna be fun. That's just going to be so much fun. I am giddy with excitement. So, indeed, Alonso and Dallas, because the Dark Shadow Maverick is OUT out of here. Yeah, boys. Like, favorite, subscribe, some comment section, and I'm a bounce.